Hey everybody, I'll Scott McCarron. Been a while since I've done one of these videos. A lot going on in my life. Um, I presented my movie, and there was some room echo and some EQ stuff going on. So, me being the perfectionist control freak sort of guy I am, I decided to go in and work on that. Plus, I'm going to be doing a discussion of a song by Deep Purple called Child in Time. And I'm going to be showing a clip of it, which got me into looking into what is fair use. And so I've been reading a lot on fair use. Um, Pretty much you got to get permission, and especially if you're going to like monetize it. I didn't get permission. I'm only going to use a couple of minutes. I want to signify what I think is the real core part of the song. It's more from a musician's point of view than anything else. You know, I'm going to, I acknowledge Deep Purple wrote it. I'm going to be giving the official link to where you can see it. So whatever you see, you can go there. I'm not monetized, so I'm not getting anything there. I freely acknowledge Deep Purple has the copyright to it, and I am not challenging that. With that said, I'll probably do a video on fair use, because it seems to me there's a lot of people getting in trouble on YouTube if they don't understand it. I've been reading up on that. That's a lot of what I've been doing. Probably know more about fair use than I really need to, but here we are. Child in Time is a song written by Deep Purple. Really amazing because of a couple of things. One is, you'll see in the link, Ian Gillan hits notes that a lot of males can't hit with a lot of power. And more than one person has watched it and gone, because it's pretty amazing to listen to. I'm going to play some of the video here. At the beginning, you have this kind of churchy organ thing going on. And you'll notice the drummer's kind of keeping beat, but it's not like a real firm beat. He's not like offbeat, but he's kind of playing around with it. And you don't really hear the bass player. And the guitarist is he's the one kind of keeping the beat at this point. I mean, they're all on beat, but like the organist is doing his church thing. And you don't have a bass player going boom, 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 or a drummer going ch, ch, ch. But you do have the guitar player going dun, 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 dun. Ritchie Blackmore. I believe the guy on bass name is Glover. Ian Paice is on the drums, and oh lordy, I forgot the organist's name. Oh well, I apologize. But the way the song builds is interesting because, he does this opening line, "Sweet Child in Time," blah blah blah. I'm not going to sing the whole thing because I don't want to I'm not trying to do a copyright thing here. But then he hits this point where he goes, I'm no singer, but he goes, ooh. And a lot of people watch it and they go, these reviewers, they watch it and they go, oh, wow, that's so pretty.
You'll see the line that's drawn between the good and the bad. See the blind man, yeah, he's shooting at the world, bullets flying, taking toll. If you've been bad, Lord, I bet you have, and you've not been hit, you've not been hit by flying lead.
But I'm pretty convinced that's not the whole reason for the shift. And I'll point it out to you here that the drummer goes from this, tapping the cymbals and sort of on rhythm, off rhythm, to suddenly there's this very firm, every 4 beats is this hit on, I believe it's the snare, but there's this definite drive, and you can start hearing the bass more. And I think it's the combination of those that actually causes the reaction. Because if you'd had Ian Gillan just start going woo, and you still have that stuff going on, the cymbals and the real quiet stuff in the background, I don't think it'd have as much impact because there's this thrust that happens there. And I think it's coming from the bass player and the drummer.
Wait for the ricochet. I'm crying for you day and night.
I'm pointing this out mostly to musicians, but for anybody else who's interested, like in the way you construct songs, like Ian Paice and Glover on the bass don't really stick out. And yet they're actually the thing that changes more than the singer. And then, every time they go through a stanza, Gillian starts getting louder, and he starts climbing up to the scales. And it gets pretty impressive. I mean, the first time I heard it was just like, holy bejesus. He's also, for those of you who don't know, he was the main singer on the record Jesus Christ Superstar. And then once he goes through where he's really loud, then it shifts to, you'll note the drummer and the bass player just really start driving the beat. The organ player comes in, Blackmore comes in on the guitar, and there's a very interesting thing there where you'll see it here where he's playing lead and then he stops and points over, and I'm assuming he's pointing at Glover, the bass player, because the bass player just starts going off. And Blackmore comes on, he hits a chord, and then he stops and looks down at his fingers and moves his hand. I'm just pointing this out as a professional musician thing, because what he starts playing isn't in key. And he looks down, figures out where he needs to go, and moves his hand and gets there. When I was a young guitarist, if I made a mistake on stage, I stopped. Like, ooh, I made a mistake. So it's just a little note to anybody who's going to be on stage is, if you make a mistake, go, I made a mistake. This is where I need to be. And the band will kind of keep up with you, and you just kind of stay together. then the song builds up to this big crescendo, and if you listen to it, there's a part that Blackmore plays on the guitar. A lot of people I've heard comment like, wow, it's amazing they all stopped. But he plays this passage 6 times, and that's okay, we're done with this section thing. He gets to the end of it and the whole band stops. It's interesting, on the original recording on the album, the organ player played it, and he did it 8 times. So I don't know why they went from 8 to 6 and why they went from organ to Blackmore. I mean, maybe they just figure it out before they come on stage. And then the song essentially starts over and kind of does the same thing. At the end, they don't go into the big up-tempo lead. Ian Gillan goes on about a part about blowing out his mind and this woman who did something to him, usual rock and roll lyrics. But I just find it fascinating how what appears to be, the shift in the singer did this. That's the big thing that we sort of go, when I actually think it was the bass player and the drummer combined. One other thing about Deep Purple, just, for those of you who want to be in a really fabulously great, wonderful band, apparently they fought a lot, especially Blackmore and Gillan, I think it is. They apparently were eating scraps and dog food and things like that because their managers wouldn't give them much money, at least at the beginning. Apparently, Ian Gillan wanted to get a new pair of pants, and the manager said, I knew you'd be trouble the instant I saw you. Now, things have changed a bit from the 70s, but, the whole image of the rock and roll lifestyle, you're really wonderful and revered. Yeah, it just looks like that. But it's also fascinating to me that a group of guys who didn't really get along very well together, or at least some of them didn't, produce such great music. Sometimes I think anger in a band is better than happiness, because it kind of puts this edge on everything. And while the competitive fights over what to put in the music can cause a lot of hurt feelings, it also often produces music that's better than any one of the people thought it would be. Anyway, that's my Child in Time thing. I have a link down at the bottom. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend it. It's one of those wow kind of videos. The other thing to know, people commented on it, it's a live TV show. I think it was called Do Your Own Thing or Do Your Thing in England. And because it was a live broadcast, the TV people didn't want the audience moving around and dancing and things. So you'll see all this really energetic, astonishing musical performance, and the audience is all like, so, be prepared for that. Anyway, that's my musical commentary on Child in Time. I really recommend it. And again, whoever owns the right to it, you have all the money that's going to be made on this non-monetized video. I just wanted to put it out there for education for musicians because I like it. Okay. Until next time, Douglas Scott McCarron. Bye.